Off. Hello, my name is Brad Bodnerchuk, and welcome to the Half a Dozen Hospitality Podcast, where we discuss everything hospitality, from the food on the plate to the teams that make it happen and the community that drives this industry forward. On this podcast, we sit down and chat with some of the most exciting, inspiring, and innovative minds that make up one of the most dynamic industries that there is today. And today, I have the pleasure of being joined by none other than Joe Parenteau and Max Timms. Welcome to the show, boys.
Thank you for having us.
Good morning. It is a Saturday morning, relatively early, and off camera is our new unofficial show producer, my brother-in-law, Scott Simony. Scott, thanks for being here, buddy. He's not mic'd up, unfortunately, so we can't get his quips, but he's here in spirit. Actually, he's here physically. He just can't talk on the So I'll bring you guys, the listeners, up to speed, kind of why I think you guys are here, and then you can guys kind of fill in the gap. So I came to learn of what Joe and Max are doing through a friend of mine, Devin Dooling, who actually has been on the show. So go back in the archives and check out Devin from On the Rocks Ice. She's doing amazing things with her products and her business. She found you guys, I think, on social.
Yep.
And then slid into your DMs, as we all do. And she then shot me a screenshot of a conversation of her saying, like, hey, my buddy Brad, he does these dinners. You guys should chat. I'll tell him to reach out. So I did. You and I had a conversation, and there seemed to be synergies with what I was doing, hoping to be doing with my business and the charitable piece of my business, and kind of what you guys are doing as well. But I'll let you jump in and explain to better for me and for the listeners of what those synergies are and why they exist, and then what exactly you two are doing in this space at this moment.
Yeah, absolutely. At Fable, what we are really focused on is being a dining experience company and really figuring out how we amplify and bring joy to every meal. And it just so happens that we sell beautiful, high quality tableware, and that's kind of our avenue in. It all started a couple of years back. My mom had done this big renovation on her kitchen, and she was looking for some new tableware. So for Christmas, I was like, I'm going to buy her this beautiful tableware. And I was like a mid-level professional, so I couldn't afford your high-end tableware, $40 a plate. But I also wasn't, wanted this like a general IKEA tableware. So I was searching high and low all over. And like time ran out, like Christmas came, I couldn't really get her anything. And the tableware she had at the time was from like the 1980s, and they still sell that exact same tableware. So I was like just perplexed in this market space where there's like this dated tableware, or you have this like high-end Kinto tableware, which is gorgeous, but $40 a plate. And no one was like in that space. And coming from a tech background, it's just like, this is a huge gap. Like how do you find beautiful tableware for people, and how do you make that more accessible? And fast forward ourselves like a year forward, I've teamed up with Max here and our other third co-founder, Tina. And we really just started diving into like, how can we bring more tableware to more people? But not only that, it just kind of expanded and just kind of grew into this thing and gained life of its own of how do we bring more joy to every single meal, right? And how do we amplify that experience for everybody in so many different ways?
How do you do that? I mean, this is something I'm sure we'll get into deeper into this podcast, but how do you do that with a plate? And the reason I ask that is because the work that I do outside of the dinners that I do, I'm a restaurant consultant, and so much what I do on a day-to-day isn't tangible. The things that I'm coaching or teaching, they're not tangible. And I need for them to be at some point, whether it's labor costs come down or food costs, whatever it is, there has to be some sort of tangible result. But really what I'm selling is this idea of a place where I want to take my clients, or I want to go with my clients. So how do you achieve that with a plate or with a bowl? Like how is it achieved with tableware?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think for us, and really what got me most excited about Fable was more than just selling plates. Like the plates are beautiful, they're amazing, they're gorgeous. But that whole experience when you're having friends over, for example, I had some friends over last night, and I put the work into designing the menu and chopping the ingredients, and I'm thinking about how great this meal is going to be when they come over. And tomatoes are beautiful, and the burrata is beautiful. And all of these different inputs are coming together. I got the microgreens, and they're looking sexy. Right. All of this is coming together. They show up. We have a nice cocktail. Everyone's sitting down at a little table, and we're sharing stories. And sun's kind of going down, drinking some wine, eating some beautiful food. Music on the background is wonderful, and everyone's just animated. And it's Friday night. We're all just having such a great time. Mm-hmm. And that moment and those moments are so precious to me, and I think to Joe as well. And we wanted to figure out how we can make that happen more often. So your question was, how do you tangibly describe that?
Yeah.
I think that's really challenging. That's what we're also trying to go and figure out right now. And that's why for us, we're a dining company that happens to sell tableware. But there's so many avenues that we want to be getting into because so many details make up that whole dining experience. It is partially the plates you're using and how well you're able to plate the food that you're cooking. But it's also the music you have on in the background. It's also the table that you're eating at. And it's every piece of that. And they all build up together to be this beautiful experience. And so for me, that's what really fires me up about Fable is there's so much potential and no one owns that space right now. We can look at other brands that own other parts and Away with the suitcase and Casper with the mattress, but no one is owning the kitchen right now. So I think there's a big opportunity there.
Yeah, I say it in my intro and I say it ad nauseum with my clients and with just people outside of this space. Like I really truly believe that this is the most dynamic industry that there is anywhere. Like there are so many pieces to this space. Like you were describing, Max, your evening last night, there's so many different variables that come together to create what in your mind's eye you're trying to create. An important piece of that, and sometimes probably overlooked, is what are you going to put it on, right? What are you putting all these beautiful products on and the stuff that you've just braised for 8 hours overnight and all those things. And I think that's where the opportunity comes in to maybe offer your guests, your friends, your family, your loved ones a bit of an elevated experience. And no offense to an IKEA plate, it has its place, but I applaud you guys for maybe identifying, like you said, Joe, a gap, and then making it maybe a little bit more accessible for people to have that elevated experience without being worried about, man, what if my kid drops his plate on the floor and costs me $56? Right?
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and we definitely do that right through the direct-to-consumer model. Kind of just a simple playbook. We just cut out all the middlemen as much as possible. We find the shortest distance from point A to point B, and we just try to make that as much cost-effective as possible, and then pass on that cost savings to potential clients, right? And yeah, that's kind of our main focus is from the plating side, the direct-to-consumer.
How did this come to be? So you mentioned tech background for yourself, Joe.
Yeah.
Max, where you sound like you definitely know food.
I used to be a cook, but also more of a tech background over the last 6 years.
So just like a weekend warrior when it comes to the braising and the deglazing
I suppose
and
so.
stuff.
Yeah. Grew up around food and loving food, and some of my first jobs out of school were in kitchens. Actually, my first real job that I truly gave a big fuck about was working in a fancy restaurant in Calgary. It was a nice Italian restaurant.
Okay.
And busted my ass as a busboy because I wanted to be in the kitchen so bad. So I just worked my ass off, and the chef knew I really wanted to be in the kitchen. And so I got very, very lucky the next year when I went back, and he brought me in as a cook, even though I didn't have any experience cooking before. I loved cooking, but never had any formal experience. And so he really, him and the team showed me how to cook, showed me what it was like to cook in a restaurant. And obviously started at the salads and plating desserts and worked my way up a little bit doing that over summer jobs. And yeah, just loved it. Loved the kitchen environment and loved that, that bringing of food to people and the sharing of meals. And I think so many great things happen when you share a meal to people.
Oh man, I think you and I discussed it a bit on the phone, Joe. It's like the power of food and what it can do. At the end of the day, we all need to eat. And a lot of us, I'm assuming the four of us here, we afford the ability to have 3 meals a day, which is amazing.
Yep.
But there are a lot of people that don't. But even those people that don't, when they do have their one meal, whether it be at the Salvation Army or at the food bank, wherever it is, it's just amazing that power of what that one meal does. And I feel like food has the ability to kind of wash away so many other stigmas and so many different silos and walls that would be up. Mm-hmm. And you can just get at a table, have a good meal, and just sit there and enjoy it. I think that in itself is just so rare, especially in today's day and age.
Mm-hmm. Certainly.
I'm intrigued by, from a design standpoint, how you guys have come to kind of figure out the look and the feel of what Fable is. And I haven't actually touched the physical product yet, but I've seen obviously it online. I've looked at it, and it seems to me like it's very kind of now, meaning it looks like the plates that I'm seeing in the high-end restaurants. It looks like the plates that I'm seeing, on Instagram influencers pages that are taking the above shots of all their food.
Mm-hmm.
How cognizant or how much of the design piece were you guys hands on with, or were you just going, this is what the market is doing, so we're going to do it as well? Or are you trying to do some different things and push the envelope a bit?
Yeah, I'd say it's a combination of both of those. We're not kind of like innovating, I'd say, on the plate as much as I'd like to go create a plate with like a phone charger or something, just to really amplify things. We didn't say that's where we're at, but we're also very fortunate. We have a lot of like design friends that we've been able to lean on, and advisors that have been able to help us out and get us to a point where we're very confident that this is a plate that's like stunning, but also it's timeless. Mm-hmm. And what we found like through market research is very much that like people don't want this trendy plate that's only going to last a year. People want a black or simple white plate, maybe with some speckle, maybe something that's just a bit different, but that is going to last for like 5 to 10 years. Something that's going to stand the test of time, and something that's like still simple and elegant, and they can put every single meal on it. They can give it to their kid to eat off of. It's not this fine china. So we're really trying to drive right into that zone.
Yeah, that speaks to me, and I think a large portion of the market as well. It's like when I ever entertain buying a suit, I don't want to buy a suit that's just cool now. I want to buy a suit that was cool in the 50s and it's going to be cool in 2050. Yeah. And I think, I have a ton of experience working front of house in this industry, and the amount of like teardrop plates and rectangle plates and like waved plates. And it's just like, it works for maybe one menu item for about a year, and then it's obsolete, and it doesn't look good. It's not functional. I think with what you guys are doing, and anyone else who's out there designing plateware, tableware, it's like, just make it simple, and then allow for that to be the canvas for what is the true art and what is really bringing people together, which is what is on the plate. If I can say that.
Yeah, I think you're totally right. And I think the interesting thing about simple is it's kind of like food. When you make something really simple, all the small ingredients have to really shine. And I think the same thing with a plate. You can't hide behind some crazy color scheme or some weird shape. You really have to, if you have a speckled white plate, the speckles have to be perfect. The white has to be perfect. The shape has to be perfect. And so though it's not complicated, there's a complexity to it.
Right. I didn't offer you a water. Or you a water. Do you need water?
Could I grab one? Yeah.
Yeah, go for it. We're in my kitchen. Go for it. Yeah. The glasses are up there at the top right. And then we have, Max, did you want one?
Yeah, Joe, can you give me one too, please?
There's sparkling in the fridge, or we have obviously Vancouver's most beautiful tap water, whatever you.
I can never turn down sparkling.
Yeah, bubbles. The clear bottle should be, yeah, there you go. There should be, is another bottle in there or no? Yeah, cool. Yeah. So, again, background not traditionally in creating products like this. You guys both come from tech, which you said. How much time did you spend leaning on friends and doing R&D, or are you still are we still learning? Is Fable still learning as we go, or are we like really happy with where we're at with the product? So yeah, is R&D something we're consistently doing? Did you guys have to read ceramic books? Like, how did that work out?
We had to read a lot of things. Luckily, Google is like your best friend. You can pretty much find anything you need. You can essentially YouTube anything. But R&D for us is like constantly ongoing. I think we're now just actually planning a trip over to Portugal.
Yeah, you mentioned
to go do some ceramic research over there and see if we can move some manufacturing over there as well. So yeah, it's honestly ongoing every single day. It's constantly on our mind. How do we make sure we have the best product that can go toe to toe with a $40 plate that we're selling for $10? We have to make sure that our quality is just as good and it holds just as true as those, because we don't want to sell anything other than the best product possible.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We got connected. Do you want to add to that, Max?
I do want to one quick thing. Yeah. At the end of the day, the plate is the most important part, but there's also a huge part, which is the brand itself. And that's where we've been really lucky to have a lot of design friends and illustrator friends that have really helped us establish what our brand is and what it will be and kind of the direction that we're walking towards. And I think like combining a beautiful product with a great brand that we think is a great brand and with a great image and with a great like direction, those two things together, I think is what's going to give us a lot of success.
It's interesting, Max, when I heard you talk about your evening last night and kind of the evening you curated, it was almost like I was watching an ad for jeans that didn't look like it was an ad for jeans. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like right now with your tableware, you guys are thinking about things outside of just plateware. You're thinking about the experience. You're thinking about bringing people together. It's the plates are a byproduct of what you're trying to create. And I don't want to put words in your mouth here. Also, please interject. But I feel like there's this holistic thing you guys are doing that maybe isn't tangible, right? But the most tangible thing you have, the byproduct of what you're actually giving to the public to get to those avenues, to get to those endpoints, is through your plateware and your messaging and your branding and all the things, which I think is really, really cool. And do you get my blue jean analogy where you're like watching a commercial, you're like, wait, that was a commercial about vodka? I just watched a kid play in a playground. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like, it's a bit like subliminal and not really in your face. So how much of that was conscious for you guys in you weren't just going to be, we're not just selling plates. Was that from the get-go, from the tipping point of this, like this is going to be more than just tableware? We want to create a community. We want to create situations. We want to create environments through our plates.
Yeah, exactly. And that's like comes right down to our vision. It's a very simple statement. We just want to bring joy to every meal, every meal possible, every meal that we can be a part of, whether our plate is there or it's not. We want to somehow be a part of that and help amplify that. So when we're exploring avenues like, potentially music in the background, helping provide home cooks recipes so they can learn how to cook more, bringing people together by sponsoring events, charity events, whatever it may be, like our goal is to just bring more joy to every single meal possible. And we're looking to explore that in every single angle that we can. And like I said, it just so happens that we sell plates, right? And that's kind of what we do.
It's like a byproduct.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what we do there. But our brand, like Fable itself, is about bringing more joy to meals.
Have you guys curated like Fable playlists on Spotify yet?
No, it's we have a ongoing list of about 1,000 things that need to get done, and that's one of them. Yeah, it's in stage 2, or is it stage 1?
It's coming up.
Yeah, it's coming up real quick.
Can you? Because I don't come from a tech background. Scott kind of understands it a bit. I don't understand it at all outside of kind of being a user of tech in a roundabout way. How have your paradigms had to shift, or have they at all? Do you guys look at this still with your, if I can use a term, like techie brains? Do you look at this as just, this is another tech issue, a tech project, and it's just a different product? Or did you completely have to have a paradigm shift with this and look at this through whole new lenses?
Yeah, I think for some things, like when you get talking about like manufacturing products, you really have to kind of change your mindset. But when we're looking at, project-based work, marketing, brand elements, whatever that may be, we're still in an agile framework, and we're trying to innovate quickly with using MVP style prioritization and really trying to put everything together from our tech background. I think that's kind of like one of our strengths, though, is that we don't come from a traditional mindset. We come from like an innovative mindset. So we're just constantly looking to make things better and trying to use the frameworks that we've learned from prior roles in tech companies.
Yeah, we're selling like a digital product, we're selling a physical product, but in a really digital way.
World,
and our Google analytics tracking is really on point, and our like we have attribution, like we're putting the foundation together to be able to not only just be able to market to people better, but to be able to market to people at the right time, so that we're not getting in their face. But hey, you're moving and you need tableware, we're here for you. Like Fable, here's something that you can bring to your kitchen, and let's help get it to you.
Right.
So
I love that. I actually listened to a podcast a while ago, and they were talking about the power of marketing and the power of thinking outside of the box. And there was a moving company, I think in the US, that noticed when they implemented this new tactic, their repeat business, their referrals went up 35%. All they would do is they would send their clients. So they were contractors. They were home builders. They would send their clients that were moving into their new homes pizza on the day they moved in. That was it.
That's
and
amazing.
Just like, because pizza on moving day, right? And then they started doing, they would send them boxes to their previous address, like a week or 2 weeks before they were moving. Like little things like that really impact people's, exposure to your brand. And just, again, thinking outside of the box, pardon the pun with the pizza in the box. Sorry, you mentioned MVP. I feel like I should just ask, because I had no idea what that meant. When you said MVP, model MVP, what is that?
Yeah, it's essentially, as opposed to looking when you're trying to implement something new and as opposed to like, I'm going to perfect this. I'm going to make this thing perfect, and then I'm going to show the entire world. you actually just release it kind of when you're like almost a little bit embarrassed of it. You're
Oh,
like,
okay,
"Ooh,
cool. Yeah.
oh, I don't know how this is going to go. Like, this may not be perfect. Well, I know it's not perfect. But what it allows you to do is it allows other people to test it. And it allows other people to give you feedback on it early on enough that you don't waste a lot of time trying to get to this perfect state that is perfect in your mind, but perhaps not perfect to what you're trying to accomplish.
Right.
So by releasing this like very basic, it's like minimum viable product, the most like simple thing you could do, it allows like you to get a lot of feedback, change things really quickly, be really agile. Hopefully the plan is to get you to the state a lot quicker, the right end state a lot quicker.
Oh, cool. Amazing. That actually reminds me of a quote that I say all the time. And it is, if your first version is perfect, you've waited too long.
Exactly.
And I'm a firm believer in that. Like, write the blog and hit publish. Like, start the podcast, open the business, do all those things like before you're ready.
Right.
You have to move before you're ready. But I like the idea of, with your product, because it is a tangible thing people hold and they experience, let them tell you what they want, and then all of a sudden you've created exactly what they want, which is such a unique thing to be able to do with your customer base. Like, this is literally what you guys asked for, and we're giving it to you.
Totally.
Yeah.
And sometimes you need to really listen between the lines for what people want, because people will tell you they want one thing, but really the problem that they're trying to solve is something a little bit further down. And if you can really get to that core problem that they're trying to solve, and as opposed to trying to solve any of the tangential or the periphery problems, if you can really get down to that core problem, that is really where people will be sticky on your product and really like get a lot of value from your service or product.
If people are listening, they're like, yeah, man, come on, it's just plates though. Like, what? Like, how deep can you get on a plate? Interject. Like, how deep can you get on a plate and on tableware? Like, how deep can you dive with people?
Yeah, I mean, pretty deep, I think. Like, even when we look at it from like a marketing standpoint, you can take our website, for example. As opposed to we building up this perfect, everything's there. You know, you got your set builder, you got all the full feature set. We actually just released a website that was like very bare bones. It was kind of like, I don't really even know if I want to show too many of these people this website, because I'm not super jazzed about it. But what it's allowed us to do is allowed us to figure out, where are people falling off on the website when they go to it, what photography needs to be changed. And then you're showing people and they're like, oh yeah, that's actually fine. And you're like, oh, I thought that was going to be this big issue. I thought this hero shot was the biggest thing we needed to go solve, but it turns out, oh, no, that's not a problem. People are still clicking through to this page. Okay. So that's not the big thing for us right now. And it helps you prioritize and break things down. So, pretty much like everything we look at, even if it's like the finance of Fable and how we approach everything in that sense, we are looking at everything like, what's the most simple thing we can release, get feedback on, and then iterate.
Wow. It's so cool. I think you guys are the first people I've had on this show in, like I said, I think 90 some odd episodes now, where I feel like you guys you think differently than everyone else I've had on it. And I don't mean I'm not trying to blow smoke or pump your tires too much. I just feel like I definitely have had on the show very traditional people from this space. And it's been varied. It's been architects and designers who obviously think differently. But I would say an architect and a designer is very similar to a chef, right? In that they're creating something, they see it in their mind's eye, and then they create it. Where I feel like you guys are coming at it from a very analytical standpoint. Like, listening to you just describe that, Joe, it's like that's valuable what you're doing and how you're creating that, and how you're so aware of how people are interacting right now with your brand. I wonder how much of that is actually happening in the hospitality space right now to impact people's businesses. I'm assuming the bigger brands probably do have that going for them. They probably have a team that is really pushing that. But with where we're seeing our food system go and how people are engaging with food, it is becoming far more, online, mobile, on your cell phones, ordering things, all that stuff. So I wonder how valuable just hearing how you guys look at your business may be to someone tuning in and going like, oh man, I didn't realize I could be doing that with my website. You know what I mean? I just think that tech paradigm or the tech lens is just one that maybe is underused a bit in our industry.
Yeah, really, I think it comes down to just the data. Like, data is power. Yeah. And when you have more data and you can look at the website and see where people are dropping off, that's the biggest problem to solve. It's not some picture that we thought was the biggest picture. Like, people are getting to that and are actually clicking into products, but then they're stopping when they hit the cart. Why they stop when they hit the cart? Oh, the cart kind of looks ugly. Like, we have a bad background picture. Like, this doesn't work. So we're going to change that and then see it, measure it. Okay, this is looking a little bit better. I should also say that we have a lot of people that we're able to lean on. from like a design perspective, we've got very talented design friends that are big parts of Fable and that we really lean on heavily. So, and there's just a lot of people in our network, not only designers, but people who have built really successful startups and people who have just built companies or built teams and built cultures. And so we really are very, very lucky to be able to lean on all these people and get their insights.
Do you feel like you guys could do this with anything? Or do you feel like plates, like there's a sincere desire for you to be a part of this experience in people's lives? Or do you feel like we could be selling, I don't know, car tires?
I don't know. I don't know if we could do it with anything. Honestly, I think it's about what makes it so successful is we are so passionate about the dining experience, and we have such this drive, like waking up every day. We're just like, how do I amplify this? How do I make this better? Constantly thinking about that is what I think is helping us be successful and helping us move down the right path. So, I don't know if it could be car tires. I think you could apply a lot of that mindset into some traditional industries, most certainly. But I think it'd be best applied with someone who's like really excited about that industry and really excited about car tires.
Right.
And I don't know if we would be able to do that in any industry.
Yeah, totally agree. And I think we can see it because we both had endeavors in the past where, we're trying to drop shipping store or, I did a brief stint where I was looking at baby diapers because there was, 3 years ago, it seemed like a good opportunity. And I still think that it's a good opportunity. Honest Company now is worth over $1 billion. There's a space that's ripe for disruption. But as I got really deep into diapers and I was reading papers on diapers and I was reading how do babies get rashes and what does that come from and how can we prevent that? Like one day I woke up and I was realizing that I was pushing myself really, really hard on this, and I actually didn't really care about baby diapers.
Right.
Like right now in my life, I don't have any kids. One day I hope to have kids, but right now I don't actually care. And so that for me is where that idea kind of like crumbled. There's a couple examples of that. This one for me has legs because I'm so passionate about food, so passionate about eating and dining and that whole experience. And I really think that I don't want to get too meta, but I think that there's a lot of value in having people talk more, having people engage more in conversation, separate a little bit away from our technology and our phones and really just get back to talking to one another and sharing different perspectives. And, in a world we live in today, I think that is more and more and more important. So yeah, for me, there's legs on this because we just both really care.
Was it an easy sell when you approached, I'm assuming you approached Max with this because it was kind of the impetus of your mom wanting plates or you want to get your mom plates. So did you call him up one day? You're like, dude, plates.
We were playing beach volleyball down at, I think we were Jericho. We're not very good beach volleyball players. Curious. But yeah, I think I was just so fired up. I was like, I just think we could change it so much, so drastically. For me at that point though, it was very much around like plates and crystal and cutlery. That was where my mindset was like, wow, someone needs to make this stuff like so much more accessible. It's just crazy that no one's doing this. And I think, when I was working with Tina at the time as well on that, and I think, as I kept talking to Max about it, it seemed like such a natural fit because he was like, well, why aren't we talking about the entire dining experience brand? And when there was like Tina, Max, and I just got in a room and we started talking about it, it was just like this perfect synergy happened. It was like, I don't know, just all the stars aligned. It was incredible. And I was like, okay, like this is the team that's going to go do this. And this is the company that's going to make this happen. So yeah, it just kind of all came together. It wasn't, I wouldn't say a hard sell, but it did take a little bit of time, maybe like 6 months or so of like constantly pestering him. And
he was like, dude, I'm on diapers right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Have you guys heard from or spoken to Trevor Bird and his team down at Fable? As in the restaurant?
So we didn't.
I don't know. Do we discuss this openly? I don't know.
We can definitely discuss it. Yeah. He definitely did send us a message, and we talked to him a bit about our brands and how we're not trying to accomplish anything that they're trying to do.
Yeah.
So I think we're on good terms, most certainly. The name Fable for us, I don't know where the name Fable came from them, but for us, it was. It's about it's a storytelling element. We were talking about how what we're trying to accomplish here, and it's like people sitting at a table telling stories, and then the word fable just came up. Like, well, it's storytelling. It's a type of story. It's what people used to do way back in the day, was tell these fables. So for us, it just like sat so well. I was like, okay, yeah, fables. Like that's what we're trying to accomplish. We're trying to have people tell more stories and make that experience more enjoyable for everybody. So we haven't really had a conversation with Trevor. Like we have talked to him a little bit, but not too in depth.
Yeah. So for those of you that aren't local, again, Trevor was on the show a while back. So he's a local restaurateur, chef in town, and he has Fable Restaurant. So if you're local and you're like, wait, these guys are from Fable, well, isn't Fable? No, it's different. And you guys right now, we can kind of jump into this. Are we shipping nationally, internationally? Are we global? Can we be global? Is that the vision?
Yeah, that's most certainly the vision, to go global as quick as possible. Right now, we're just selling to Canada and the United States. So.
Okay, cool. And if people do want to engage with you and the brand, we'll get to that at the end of the show more. But right now, the website is what?
FableHome.co.
FableHome.co. And
Yep.
from there, you can place your orders?
Yep, exactly.
Cool. And shipping, handling, all added or included in the price?
It's $10 flat rate right now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, get out and shop.
Yeah, so very accessible to move some plates around the country.
Amazing. So Portugal's on the radar.
Yep.
What is going on in Portugal? Pardon my ignorance. Is this where a lot of things are going on with ceramics and plateware, tableware? That's where it's happening? And what are they doing that's different from, say, Salt Spring Island, where there's a woman creating stuff in her garage?
Yeah. Like Portugal is one of the biggest ceramic producers in the entire world. And they have these like amazing technologies that have been able to create, where they can create these plates, like just they can create so many of them so quickly at such a reasonable price. And that's what kind of we get stuck on. Like, I think we want nothing more than to work with local ceramics in the city. And we've been definitely engaging with some, and we're looking at doing some like smaller items with some local producers. But when we looked at our core product line and what we, the price point we actually want to be able to sell it to consumers at and be able to provide them, beautiful, high quality ceramics, local ceramicists in the city here, it just doesn't actually like work out. It's just not feasibly
accessible.
possible.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it kind of, and that's because, they're making it by hand. So it's very different. It's a very different production. And there's definitely a space for that. I love handmade ceramics so
beautiful.
much.
Yeah.
So we're not trying to intrude on that space either. Like, we're not trying to take away from those individuals who are those artists at all. We're more looking to produce, just like, beautiful plates for your everyday home. And then people, those artists are creating those one-off pieces you put into your house as well. Right. So at Fable, what we're trying to do is find some of those people who are also looking to produce, thousands of a single piece that we could also, collaborate with them on and help, sell for them, help them market, but, also include them in that story.
Yeah, very cool. I have a technical question for you. Maybe this is not on your radar yet, but I would love for it to be. So I had a friend over who actually is a restaurateur. He has 4 restaurants here in the city. And he came over for lunch. I served him lunch. As we sat down, the plates were empty. We have traditional white plates, not from IKEA, but not also $55 a plate. He sat down, he picked up the plate and put it on his face and smelled it. And he's like, I need a new plate. And I said, why? He said, this plate smells like eggs. we eat a lot of eggs in our household every morning, usually scrambled eggs. And what has happened, unbeknownst to me, is some of those plates have started to take on kind of that sulfur smell of the eggs. So are these things on your radar of considerations? Like, how does that impact the product over time? Does a $50 plate do that and a $1 plate? Or does a Fable plate do that? Or if it does do that, all plates do that, I don't know. What is the tip that you can offer us to alleviate that from occurring?
Yeah, great question. It's very, very funny that you bring up that story. I've got a close Lebanese friend, and he can sense eggs on anything.
Dude, this guy was Lebanese as well.
Okay, and my friend who's Lebanese, I don't know if any of you folks who are listening are Lebanese, and if you are and you disagree with us, please leave a comment or get in touch. But he said that a lot of his friends also have this innate ability to detect when eggs are on things.
That's crazy that your friend is also Lebanese. So my buddy, his name's Fadi Eid. He owns Jam Jar, which is a Lebanese restaurant all through the city. So shout out Jam Jar. But that's kind of insane that you mentioned your friend is Lebanese. And
it's like cocktails. It's like if he gets a glass that has had like a sour in it that has egg white, he almost can't drink it because all he does is smell the egg on it. And
wow.
Yeah. So that's not an answer to how we're thinking about getting rid of the egg smell on plates.
Maybe we just don't sell to Lebanese people.
No eggs on these plates.
Yeah. So you haven't come across kind of like how to fix that if it happens?
No. To be honest with you, it hasn't even really been on our radar of a problem to solve. If more people think it's a problem to solve, then we're going to go out and solve it. But kind of keeping with the MVP approach, when we look at all the problems that we can solve right now and then that are important to us, that's not high on the list. And we got a couple other high problems. If we get feedback that this is an issue for more folks, like then hell yeah, we'll get that up on the list of problems to try to solve.
Have you ever heard of that,
The
Joe?
eggs? No, not at
Yeah.
all. I was blown away.
Scott? Yeah. I was just like, I've never had someone put an empty plate of mine on their face. Yeah. Interesting, eh?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just eggs?
To my knowledge, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's very funny.
Yeah, very interesting. Joe, you and I connected originally because of, again, there being some synergies, and through what I'm doing offshoot, and I talk about it a lot on my podcast because it's near and dear to my heart, and I want to sell a lot of tickets, and I want to affect a lot of change in our local city. So for those of you that don't know, that may be listening for the first time, I've done now 3 of what I'm calling the half a dozen dinner series, where I bring a new chef, a new farm, and a new charity on board. And we sit down with 60 people, ideally, and 6 courses, beautiful food, and all the money, all the profits, I should say, pardon me, go to that local food-based charity. And that's just so near and dear to my heart. And it came to be because at the time I had done probably 40 or 50 podcasts, and I kept saying after I turned off the mics, like, oh, you should really meet with so-and-so, and like we should all like collaborate on something, because there's so much talent and desire to impact change in our community. But I felt like there wasn't a platform for that. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to put this out there. And I said, like, obviously bringing people together around food makes sense. And it's so natural for me to kind of curate that. And I had this this kind of community building of these amazing talents, especially chefs, that were just so willing to donate their time for a cause like this. And then we've now executed, I said, three dinners and given close to $6,000 to local charities, which feels so good for me. And I don't mind for it sounding like a humble brag, because I do want to humble brag on that because it's been amazing. But a lot of people coming together to create that. And the reason that I wanted to reach out to you is I feel like there is a fit and a synergy. You mentioned charity being something that you guys are interested in doing. And you mentioned that like being a part of these pop-up events and having your tableware there. How important is that to you, that charity piece about being the plate that's chosen for these events? And how do you guys kind of decide what to get involved in and what not to get involved in?
Yeah, like I think we get involved in pretty much as we possibly can get our hands on.
Yeah.
So if anyone's listening that's curious, they've been looking for a sponsor for some tableware, just reach out. We're definitely interested to chat with everybody. Mm-hmm. But you're right, like charity is near and dear to us. Like, so it's so important. You know, like I said, the vision is is our North Star. We're always looking at it. Bring joy to every meal. Like, how do you do that? Well, there's people out there who can't have meals, right? And that's just the unfortunate reality that we live in right now. So for us, we have also started working with Meal Share to try and bring more meals. So for every set of plates that we sell, we actually donate a meal to Meal Share. So we're always constantly looking for ways to give back, and how do we make that happen and make that more accessible. So whether it be working on events and sponsoring events and trying to give our tableware away to those events to make that happen, or if it's through Meal Share or any other type of charity, it's constantly on our mind.
Do you feel like that's goes against others in your kind of world? Because I don't know of anyone that's like, hey, yeah, totally take our plates and use them. There's always kind of there's a cost associated with it, whether it be like an actual monetary cost or something else. There's usually limitations or something. So do you feel like you guys doing this is completely new to this space, or is anyone else doing this that you know of in regards to, being part of more of this charitable causes where maybe, the operating costs need to be taken in consideration, and spending $1,000 on plates just doesn't work?
Yeah, like I don't know anyone that is in the city that's doing this, or at least in our region. I imagine there's got to be some other plate companies out there that are sponsoring events, but like for us, it's not something. It comes first. It's just part of who we are. It's
Right.
part of our values. It's part of what we're trying to accomplish here. So it's not even something we've ever like questioned, or it's not like something we view as like a strength of our company, or it's just like it's a part of like our culture. It's part of our values. It's what we're going to continue to do. It's what we'll always do.
Who is your avatar? Like, who is your ideal client, ideal customer? If they're listening right now and they're going, I wonder if I should order some plates and some bowls. Like, is it me? Is it is it? I don't think it can be everyone, because I don't know. Can it be everyone?
Yeah, it's a really good question. We've done quite a bit of market research. We went in with some hypothesis about who we thought our target customers were. And anybody listening can probably guess. It's, the 20 to 30 somethings that are maybe young professionals living in an apartment downtown that have a little bit of expendable capital. Maybe are still using their IKEA plates from university or some hand-me-downs from their parents that are trying to up their different parts of their lives. And this is one of them. Could be the people who are really focused on interior designs and really want that curated home experience. We got a bunch of friends who have beautiful homes and showcase those homes on Instagram. And so I think that's a big audience. There's kind of the home cooks who love making food and love cooking food and love plating food. And there's a really close fit there. But what I think has been most surprising is when we actually look at who's buying our products, they don't always fit into those boxes. There could be folks who are older in age. They're 50 or 60 that are buying our plates because they've had their plates for a long time or something broke, and hey, these are beautiful and we need to get new plates. So it comes back to the data piece where we went out there with an assumption. We had kind of an MVP approach for where we wanted to initially target. Now that we're able to see who comes back to our website, we can find more audiences that look like those folks to then market to those kind of folks better. So people who actually get through to the checkout process or actually buy plates, we can then recreate our audiences based on that, as opposed to just running in with our hypothesis about who we think are buying plates.
Do you think anyone that's selling a product right now in our space, or just in general, that's just putting it up on a website and hoping that it sells, is passive? Like, is that too passive of a way to run your business nowadays? And I'm asking it kind of selfishly because I have a consultancy business. My vision is to go global, to scale my business. And I'm very open and honest about that. That is my vision. I don't want to just be a consultant in Vancouver. I can help people in Italy and New Zealand and Australia. But I don't know that I have the capabilities or the abilities to do what you're doing, just I don't know, from a knowledge piece. So it goes back to my question about, say there's someone that's my friend Natalie who makes jam in the city, East Van Jam. Like, she probably could sell all over the world. Just putting up something on the website, is that too passive? Do we need to get a little more aggressive and be a little more active in getting our brands out there? And does it have to be what you guys are doing, or is there another way to do it? Or is this just the world we live in? This makes the most sense right now with the technology that we have, and this is kind of the low-hanging fruit that you can use to your advantage. I
think it depends on what you want to be. If you want to take over the world, then I think it's probably too passive. If you want to make a beautiful lifestyle brand in the city, then fuck yeah, do it. And I say that we've made a lot of progress, but we're still learning all the time. We still are trying to find more marketing channels that actually are working for us. We've got one that Joe's really been pushing hard on, and that's working with different influencers on Instagram. And that's been a really cool community to get introduced to. And that's been a really interesting sales channel for us as well. But we won't take over the world just talking to influencers on Instagram.
Right.
And we still haven't really figured out how to make our ads better, or, so there's always different avenues to go down. And so if you want to take over the world, it's probably too passive, and there is more that needs to get done. But I don't think that every company needs to take over the world.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting because you guys are thinking about more than just speckles on plates, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot more to it. Not only the technical side, but then also what you're trying to create, the byproducts of the plates.
Exactly.
So there's so many different variables to Fable and what you guys are doing. Does it get overwhelming? Does it get exhausting? Do you guys
Every
have a
day.
big
Every day.
Do you guys have a big whiteboard and you're like, Monday is this day and Tuesday is this day, meaning like all we're doing on Tuesday is marketing, or all we're doing on Wednesday is talking to influencers, or are you guys just kind of reacting?
Yeah, I'd say we definitely are very proactive in what we're accomplishing. We definitely have our own domains as well, which is quite helpful. Like, Tina is a front-end developer, which is amazing.
Incredible.
Because anything we want on the website, she's like, oh yeah, I'll make that happen. That's no problem. It's like, okay,
yeah,
sweet.
literally anything we can dream up, she can make happen, which is
shout out
insane.
Tina is amazing. So we all have our own like separate domains, and we definitely all collaborate together, like on a 3 or 4 times a week basis, and coming together and working on different problems to solve at the same time. But yeah, that's kind of our approach. Like you said, is it overwhelming? Yeah, it certainly is. We don't have a whiteboard per se. We have just a really long Google sheet.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't ask Joe, how does or has food shown up for you? Obviously, Max talks about microgreens, and he gets it. He's been kind of, he's done the back of house thing. Have you hustled and it doesn't make you better or worse if you have? Have you been exposed to that, or are you just really passionate about food and family and that experience.
Yeah, I've definitely done some cooking. I used to work at a Dairy Queen. So that counts.
Shout out DQ.
Yeah, DQ is a really good time. But yeah, like for me, I love to cook at home. I'm always like messaging Max all the time, like, oh, how do I cook this? Like, I think the other day I was like, I'm cooking a pork tenderloin. Can I make it pulled pork? And he's like, absolutely not. That's not what you're supposed to do with that. I was like, well, it's too late. It's already in the oven.
How did that work out, by the way?
It wasn't very good. But I made tacos with it yesterday.
Ooh, there you go.
So like I'm awesome cooking at home all the time, you know, hosting people. I absolutely love that. I'm nowhere near to the level that Max is. But for me, that's kind of what's the beauty of Fable. It's like I would love a brand to support me, a brand to show me recipes, a brand to make it more accessible, a brand to help me learn how to do that. And I think that's what we're hoping Fable will be.
I think it's so interesting. And I say this a lot on this podcast as well, is I feel like food is such a smart investment right now. Like, look at what Netflix is doing. Look what's populating YouTube. Like, it is like people are doubling down on food because people want to watch, whether they're cooks or not, they want to watch. And then they want to try it. And I think this just pops into my head as you were describing your story there, Joe. I think what Fable has the opportunity there to do is go along that journey with someone that maybe is a little green when it comes to, can I turn a tenderloin into pulled pork?
Yeah.
And then you have the plate to kind of be with you along the way as it becomes that vision you had in your head. And it's not just that flimsy IKEA. We keep crapping on IKEA. I apologize.
Yeah,
IKEA.
sorry, IKEA.
But you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's such a smart play right now where we're at, because you have so many people that are watching Netflix and they're just like, man, I want to go in the kitchen and try to do that. But then they do these beautiful braised baby leeks, and then what? It's not going to look good on that red plastic plate.
Yeah, the way we like to think about Fable, and again, shout out to everyone who's helped us get here, is more of like if they were a person, they're kind of a host, sort of like you. You know, you're helpful, you're not overbearing, but you help guide the conversation, you help steer it, and you're like smart and witty, but you're not like overpowering or taking over the conversation. And that's how we like to think about Fable. So when it comes to stuff like cooking, by the way, I'm a home cook, I'm not a chef, so it's a level set here.
Exactly. Yeah.
But when it comes to Fable, there's just an amazing opportunity to help folks plate their leeks a little bit better, or help folks learn how to, you know, cook a fish in a different way. And really, it's not necessarily us. Maybe we're leaning on a recipe from Thomas Keller, or we're, you know, looking at Kenji Lopez and he's going to teach us how to make the best prime rib. And we're going to show people that you can do this and it's accessible, and we just want to help get you there.
Yeah. I love it, man. I'm super stoked. I mean, I'm not just saying it because I'm on the show. You guys are on the show right now. I'm going to order some plates. Scott, I should send you some plates. Scott has a beautiful family, 3 kids, and his wife back in Ottawa. I'm sure you guys could use some new plates. Yeah. Do you want to grab some more water? I have a couple more questions for you guys before I let you go. So this show, as you know, is called the Half a Dozen Hospitality Podcast. So I have for you both, and this is kind of nice, there's 2 of you, so you can kind of carry the weight together. So I have for you guys 2 questions that I've asked every single guest, and they are this. First one is the half a dozen have-tos, so stay with me here. I need from both of you 3, because 3 and 3 is 6. 3 things that you've done in your lives that you feel like our listeners have to do, whether it is a meal you've eaten, a book you've read, a trip you've taken, a song you've listened to, a piece of art you've stared at, food related or not, whatever it is you feel like, to give myself and listeners a better idea of kind of who you guys are at your core, what are some things that you have experienced that you feel like our listeners have to experience? Who wants to go first? And we'll just go tennis style back and forth.
Okay, I'll go first. I don't know why this is jumping up, and I might kick myself in the.
That's all right. Just say it.
But ride a horse in like a beautiful place.
Okay.
You know, it's something about that. It's really it's an incredible experience. I'm not like an avid horse rider, but there's something about when you're in an amazing place and you can, you know, be synergistic with an incredible, strong animal. And I don't know, it's just like a beautiful experience, a beautiful way to experience an amazing place.
When's the last time you were on a horse?
Maybe 2 months ago. My partner and I were in Colombia, and we had the opportunity to ride some horses in Salento. So you haven't been to Salento, go to Salento. It's gorgeous. They've got the world's tallest palm trees. They're called sugar palms, and they're like 40 meters tall. They're these crazy tall trees. And so we're ripping around on these horses. We were just saying this story last night, so maybe that's why I'm thinking about it. But yeah, that would be my number 1.
Very cool. Yeah, horses are amazing creatures and very intuitive.
Mm-hmm.
Very intuitive.
For me, this is coming up because it was just something I did with my partner Denise. Is go find a hidden rope swing.
A hidden rope swing.
Yeah.
How does one find a hidden rope swing?
I don't know. I found it on Google, so it's probably not that hidden, but it seemed
So
hidden to me.
Google hidden rope swings.
Yeah, in Vancouver. Yeah, it's just like the perfect setting, right? You go watch the sunset over the ocean. You bring some bottle of wine, and you just go in the rope swing or whatever swing you can find. It's kind of like a private little beach if you can find one. There's lots of them around. But yeah, it's just like the perfect moment. It's just like, you're enjoying a moment with your partner or some friends, you're having a good conversation. And it's just like, those are the types of moments you just like live for. It's like that exact situation.
Do you bring your phone or no and take a photo of it?
I took a lot of photos.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Max, back to you.
Okay. This one's a little less tangible, and I'm going to nerd out for a hot sec.
Yeah, dude,
I
geek
took
out.
physics in university,
Okay.
mainly for the ladies, but
Shout out physics ladies.
shout out to physics ladies, though. We need to get more women in science.
Yeah.
I would say learn more about space.
Hmm.
I love space. It's just so fascinating. It's so easy to get bogged down by our day-to-day existence and in our own heads of consciousness, which we don't even really know what consciousness is, but that's a different topic.
Yeah, different podcast. we can do round 2.
There we go. But I think just understanding a little bit more about space helps me personally to kind of put everything in perspective when we realize, when you can kind of visualize just where we are in the universe and what that means. I find it very refreshing. Some people think it makes them feel a little bit too small, but I think that there's freedom in that feeling small, and you can shut down a lot of the barriers you might have, because you are just you're on this little rock whipping around a like fusing ball of hydrogen, and you might as well do that thing or say that thing or go to that place, because you're only here once.
Yeah, man, I could definitely do a whole podcast on that with you for sure. Joe, back to you.
Yeah, I think for me, I want to say go all in on something. Even if you're not 100% confident it's going to work out, even if some people might say it's a bad idea, or you're fearful that this is not going to work, whether that's you're at a tech job, I'm thinking for myself, and you're taking on a project and you're like, oh God, I don't know. I'm going to be reporting to the CEO on this project and I don't think this is going to work out. Just do it. Just do it. Like, take the risk. It's okay if you fail. It's okay to fail fast. But that's the key though. Like, fail fast. Just like learn really quickly, but don't be afraid to execute. Don't be afraid to just do it, because you're never going to know.
Yeah, I love that as well. And it's there's so much paralysis by analysis nowadays, and with everything being so visible, we're so kind of afraid of that and what that's going to look like. But yeah, man, those failures don't define you. Actually, I think they kind of make you who you are and should be. So it's good to fall on your face every once in a while. So yeah, jump before you're ready to jump.
Exactly.
Max, back to you for the last one.
I would say make something with wood. Using your hands to produce something physical, especially in this day and age where I'm surrounded by a lot of knowledge workers that work in high tech, and there's something just really amazing for me personally about trying to create something with wood. I've been lucky enough to have a father who's has all the right equipment, and so every time I get to go back home to Calgary, get to just make something with wood, even though it's nothing crazy. Maybe making an end grain cutting board, but it's incredible to just spend the time, and you're working with your hands. Nothing else really matters. I find it really meditative, and you get to, at the end of it, you have something really physical. Whereas I think a lot of times nowadays, what you produce is not that tangible, and having an output that every time you hold it, it's like, yeah, I made this, and it kind of brings you a little bit of joy. That's what I like about Fable too. It's, every time I use the plates, it's like, this is cool.
Yeah, very cool. Joe, back to you for the last one.
Yeah, I might be kind of repeating myself here, but this is, one thing I did one time is I bought a boat and I didn't even know how to drive a boat. So I would say do something you want to do, but you don't have any idea how to do it. Like I just bought a boat, didn't know how to drive it, never driven a boat, just drove it out of the moored spot, and it was fine. It worked out. But it was like such a powerful feeling to just like
literally sink or swim.
Yeah. Just just do that. Yeah. Exactly.
Do you still own the boat?
I sold that one when I bought another one now.
Oh,
so,
sweet.
Yeah. I learned how to drive that one. Don't know how to drive this one that well yet.
Okay. For those of you who live in Vancouver, hit Joe up. He's a boat friend now.
Exactly.
You need a truck friend and a boat friend. So
Yeah,
Joe's
absolutely.
your boat friend.
I try to keep Joe close for that reason.
Yeah, exactly. The last one I have for you guys before I let you go is the same kind of idea. And we'll go back and forth again, is the half a dozen haven't yets. So kind of like a bucket list, if you will. things that you have yet to experience that are on your list that you want to share with the listeners and verbalize them today. And a lot of times I like to hold my guests accountable. If there's something that you feel like should be done by a certain date, let's get it out here, because you've got now roughly 10,000 people listening and they can hold you accountable.
Yeah, it's going to be tough.
I can go first.
Okay.
This one might be a SMART goal too, because it's specific and achievable. And
Yeah, I like that.
My partner and I love hiking around. And we were lucky enough to spend a few months in South America, maybe 5 years ago. But when we were there, it was a little bit too cold in Patagonia. So we really just got the northern tip of Patagonia, but it's always been a dream to go and hike around Torres del Paine and hike around Patagonia, especially in the deep south. So yeah, that's one thing that I haven't done yet that I would love to do.
Date?
It's, let's say, by 2021.
Nice. We'll have you back after to hear how it was.
Sounds good.
Good food there as well.
Yeah, for me, I was gonna say something pretty wild, but I don't know if I should. I was gonna say go to outer space.
Yeah.
I just read recently that you can go to outer space, and I've now been like super intrigued to go to outer space. I don't know if I obviously have the capital to go do that at this moment.
Maybe we could fundraise. I'm with you on that one.
I feel like in my lifetime that's going to be possible, and I'm committed to making that happen, because I think it's like 2020 or something. People are going to start going there.
What's the price tag?
I have hundreds of thousands of dollars.
No, even more than that. SpaceX is trying to make it a little bit more affordable with a lot of their models. Shout out to Elon Musk.
Yeah.
But if you wanted to go, you can go right now to the International Space Station. But I'm gonna get this wrong. People can Google it. But it's millions of dollars to be able to go up.
Wow.
Yeah, millions and millions and millions.
Would you do it, Scott? Absolutely. Yeah? You would? I don't know. Outer space, bro. It's like the deep, dark ocean.
Would you go?
Yeah, I would. Come on. But there's just so much unknown, right? But I guess that's kind of the beauty of it too. Mm-hmm. Max, back to you.
Something that I haven't done is that I want to do is we're kind of doing it. We're trying to do it with Fable, but it's really to be my own boss. I've been very, very lucky in my career to work for and with amazing companies, but always wanted to be my own boss and to have my own company. And I really think that Fable can be that. And so, yeah, it's I'm not sure exactly what the goal is, but it's to just build an amazing brand with amazing people.
Yeah, I love that, man. I'm all about that.
Back to me. I'd like to, for a year or two, live a global lifestyle where I'm not working because I have to be in a particular location, but I can just go live anywhere in the world, accomplish my day-to-day job, and have that flexibility to just go travel anywhere I want to work, anything I want to do in those locations. It's just I can do it.
Yeah. It's so interesting. I think it's such a cool time we live in right now because you can do that. And it's not like you're doing something that no one else has done. People have done it and they've been down that path. So they showed us it's just as long as you have it set up, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I think is so cool. And we were talking last night. So Scott's kids are a little bit older. They're in their teens. Their reality is a lot different than our reality when we were 15 years old. Like the things that they could do is just not so traditional. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Even then for my parents, what they thought that their reality was, it just doesn't have to be that way anymore. You still have to work your absolute ass off, I think personally.
Yeah.
But it just looks different. You can work your ass off. I think the whole like beach Bali thing right now is it's kind of overhyped a little bit, but you literally can run $1 million business from a beach in Bali.
Yeah.
If you are smart about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you probably couldn't do that 50 years ago.
No.
Not happening. Do you know what I mean? Right. So embrace that right now. And we've kind of said it a couple of times, like if you have this idea, dude, try it. Like you have to try it. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, when you're 86, you could be like, damn, I really wish I would have tried that.
Right.
Max, back to you.
Might regret saying this one too, but that's okay. I love surfing and I'm also a garbage surfer, but I love surfing. And the problem with living in Vancouver is you're pretty far away from surf. You can go down to Washington, but you got to go across the border, got to deal with that Seattle traffic, and you're like 5 hours minimum to get somewhere. Or you can go to Tofino, which is Christina, my partner, one of our favorite places in the earth. But that's a lot of work too. You got to take a ferry and then you got to drive, and it's not like it's unenjoyable, but it's just a big trek to get out there. And so I've got it in my head that to circumvent this whole operation, I should just get a seaplane and then I can fly directly there. Yeah. So I have zero capital to invest in a seaplane or a seaplane license, but I've always wanted to be a pilot and and I've got it in my head that I really want to learn how to fly a seaplane to enable us to go surfing more.
Amazing. Or just move somewhere where there's better surf.
Could do that. I love this city though. This is an incredible place to live.
We're pretty blessed here.
Yeah.
Last one, Joe.
Yeah, for me, I think it's pretty definitely achievable one. I'd like to go play golf at Pebble Beach.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, you can do that.
Yeah. Oh, so simply. Yeah.
By when?
Give it about a year or so.
Whoa.
A year.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's very possible.
Okay. Who are you playing with?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have that many girlfriends. Max, you want to come?
Yeah, the problem with Joe is he is an incredible golfer. He had like a golf scholarship in university.
Oh, you're one of those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not very good anymore. But
Yeah, no, you are.
Yeah. No, I'm not good, but no,
Yeah.
I'll play with you though.
Cool. Pebble Beach. Yeah. Obviously, you just go hack around for a bit while he just geeks out on the golf course. Yeah, why not?
Why not?
I want to say thank you guys so much for coming on the show. I love meeting people in this space that I consider to be rad people, and you guys seem like rad people. And whether you're selling plates or glasses or heck, if you guys were chefs, I would love to support you. And I mean that sincerely. I feel like we could do this for probably another 2 hours and just keep talking, although we've done it for 1 hour and 9, 10, 11 seconds.
Wow.
It's kind of flown by, eh?
Yeah, totally has.
Yeah. I think it's something that when you put earphones on and put a mic in front of your face, it just goes by like that. But I just want to say, I want to say that I want to celebrate you guys and what you're doing by being, if I can, pump your tires for a bit, being so smart and recognizing this space in our industry and being willing to go all in on this and invest your time, energy, bandwidth, all those things on this project, making something that seemingly is so simple, but really does elevate the experience of dining. And food, like I said, is something that we all need every single day. And I would love to see this entire world be able to eat 3 square meals of healthy food, ideally on Fable plates. That's my goal. That's why I do what I do. And I appreciate what you guys are doing and the motivations you have behind it. So shout out to you both and to Tanya for diving in on this, and I look forward to flying the Fable flag as much as I possibly can and sharing this story, not only on the podcast, but further on. And love to have you guys on again for round 2, a few months or a year from now, to see where you guys are at and see how it's grown. But congrats on the success so far, and us here and listeners, myself and listeners, will support you guys as much as we possibly can. So
awesome.
Keep it up.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, my pleasure. Guys, that is it. That's Joe. That's Max. Scott's off camera. How was that, Scott? Was it good? Yeah. I'm Brad. This is the Half a Dozen Hospitality Podcast. Thank you guys so much for tuning in as you do week after week. Please go out and support these guys and their beautiful, beautiful tableware. You can find them online at www.fablehome.co, and you can find them on social at
Dine with Fable.
Dine with Fable on all the platforms, I'm assuming.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you guys again for tuning in. Make sure you tune in next week for a brand new episode. And until that time, guys, be good and do good. That's it, boys. We did it.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.
That was awesome. Thanks, buddy.